Welcome everybody, my name is Jason. This is the channel Professor Sports Cards, and this is the first edition of many in a series where we're going to take a look at a certain position in sports, the top 10 to ever play that position, and their card prices. It's fascinating, interesting, and we're just going to go deep. And if you can't tell, the first edition is NBA point guards, the best to ever do it. We're going to start with honorable mentions. No shame, these are top 20 players of all time at their position. Gary Payton in a PSA 10 Hoops 1990. You can get his rookie card for just under $40. There are 3 or 4 different sets in 1990 of Gary Payton's rookie card. Every chart I've attached behind the card is a 2-year chart, and I've tried to put a red line in where the middle or average sale of those 2 years would be. Let's quickly roll through the honorable mentions and we'll spend more time on the top 10 list. Chris Paul, you can get his top $2, and there's just 676 in a PSA 10 there. You can see the price of this card has fallen heavily over the past 2 years. Triple-double machine Russell Westbrook doesn't crack our top 10, but he's probably a top 20 point guard. His PSA 10 Topps rookie card, there's just 250 of them, and it's selling for $56. All things considered, that's a semi-low pop count for that price. His chart not as bad as Chris Paul's, but you can see at the bottom it's lost 50% of value in the past 2 years. Pistol Pete Maravich, one of the best scorers, especially in college, of all time. $500,000 is PSA 10 rookie, but there's just 2 of them. It shows you what supply does. In a PSA 3, well, there are 300 of them, and you could buy this card and put it in your collection for just $300. I don't expect prices to bounce up high anytime soon, but this is a good one to go put in your collection considering the supply and the price. Where the last couple players have lost over 50% in value over the past couple years, well, this card has only lost less than 5% of value. Finally, I don't know if you consider him a point guard, but Luka, maybe it's just the craze. Boy, is he fun to watch. He's only 25 years old in a PSA 10. It's $300. The main reason I put him on here, though, look at the pop count difference from everything we just saw. He could go on to be the best NBA player of all time. There's just way too many of his rookie cards. 20,000 in a PSA 10, that's just of the Prism base. Enough of the honorable mentions. Let's get the party started. Number 10. Bob Cousy was ranked number 10 by ESPN all-time point guards and number 9 by Hoops Hype. I have Bob Cousy at number 10. You can see in a PSA 8 there are just 36 copies, and this card sells for $28,000. This card really reflects the supply. In a PSA 4 there are 238, but price drops all the way down to $650. Here's another card where it seems like the price is semi-good considering the supply. If we take a look at the chart, it shows that it's lost a ton of money, but there's just one outlying sale of $1,200. The card was selling for just under $800 2 years ago, and today it's selling for just over $600. Last thing I want to mention about Cousy is he has 3 cards. That's it. That's all. His rookie card from '57, and then in 1961 he has his base and the in-action card. And those are the only 3 Bob Cousy cards from his playing days. That's almost nothing. Number 9. I was 9 years old when he first played in 1994. You can see a PSA 10. There's only 147 in this upper deck rookie card, and it's selling for $55. And in the finest, this is with the coating, selling for about $100 or just $222. You can see how low these pop counts are from the 90s. And I also wanted to show you from the 90s, if you left the coating on or off of your finest cards, it didn't really matter. If you kept the coating on, it's a bit more rare, and it's worth because there's just 203 of them. The chart doesn't give that much data. It says it's down 5% in the past 2 years. This is with the coating, Topps Finest rookie card. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll do a deeper dive into the numbers, but I do want to give you a small taste for now. If we take a look at Jason Kidd's totals, he by far leads rebounds with 8,700. No one has more than 8,000 on this list. Furthermore, he's second in assists, first in blocks, and second in steals. This isn't compared to any average Joe. These are the best point guards to ever play in the NBA. So, way to go, Jason Kidd. He absolutely belongs on any top 10 NBA point guard list of all time. Hoops Hype came out with a list in the end of 2023 that had him ranked number 10 all time. And ESPN's list had him ranked number 8 all time. Number 8. Steve Nash is Canadian, but actually born in South Africa. You can see here his Topps PSA 10. Look at these pop counts, 628 of them, that's it. It's selling for $84. He's one of the best point guards to ever lace him up. Now, as a Kobe fan, I have no idea how Steve Nash got 2 MVPs while Kobe only got 1. It's mind-boggling. It hurts my heart. But Steve Nash was that dude, and just impressive and always fun to watch. This 1996 Topps rookie card has hovered between $60 and $100 in the past 2 years. The one thing I do want to say about Nash equal to Kobe is they were both just warriors. They went out there with many injuries. Look at Nash here. I mean, he just doesn't even look human with that eye, and that's nothing compared to what you see here. This was in the playoffs, and please look away for 3 seconds right now if you don't want to see something kind of gross. There it is, 2, 1, and it's gone. On their best point guards of all time list, Hoop Type had Steve Nash ranked number 8, and ESPN came out with their list and ranked him number 7. Speaking of 7, we're on our 7th best point guard of all time, and that goes to Walt Frazier on my list. ESPN had him ranked as the 9th best point guard of all time, and Hoops Hype in theirs had him 14th overall. His rookie card comes out of the Tall Boys 1969 Topps, and a PSA 10, there's just one of them. Again, it shows you a lot about supply. When there's only one of them, prices sell at astronomical rates for these Hall of Fame players, $252,000. And we'll take a look here. In a PSA 9, there's only 19 of them, so it just drops down the next 19 copies, selling for 14 grand. So when there's just one of something rare and a Hall of Famer, unbelievable. 19, it still holds a great price at almost $1,000. And you'll see here in a PSA 4, wow, it's 50 bucks. So this is all supply here. The price we just saw based on those last couple grades are all driven by the limited supply. I'd even go further to say that the demand for this card in a lower grade is not all that high. However, as these cards become more history, the Hall of Fame players very much could be if it's anything like baseball. Maybe now is the time to buy. This card's down 62% in the past 2 years. The other thing I want to just point out is that one sale in May or March of 2024 that just over 160. Whenever you see a sale like that, it's kind of an outlier. Something's funky or up. I don't normally trust those kind of sales when it's just crazy off the chart like that, one-off. Here's the list so far. Bob Cousy in 10th, Jason Kidd 9, Steve Nash 8, Walt Frazier 7. I'm sure you know some of the players. Coming up, you can only guess. Let's keep it moving. Now, ESPN and Hoops Hype had Chris Paul at number 6 on both of their lists. Now, again, ESPN's list was made all the way back in 2016 when Chris Paul still played for the Clippers. I'm not in on that. Chris Paul doesn't make my top 10 lists. I'm just going to throw out some other names. When it's all said and done, Kyrie Irving might end up being higher than Chris Paul. Tony Parker, man, give him to me over Chris Paul for the career. Dame Dollar, Lillard, just more clutch. Russell Westbrook, the triple-double machine. And if you watch basketball in the 90s, this guy doesn't get enough love. If you watched in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. KJ, Kevin Johnson, the mayor. Yeah, man, baller. Speaking of Johnson, here's another dude that would be right up there with Chris Paul. So number 6, you pick. Could be anybody. I don't know. Just not Chris Paul.
Take a closer look at it. 10 straight, the lead back up to 9. Oh, Chris Paul goes down hard on his back as Beverly's whistled for the foul. Beverly laughing and mocking Paul.
My YouTube channel, guys. Today I am going to make a new video, so please whatever.
You made it. We're cracking the top 5, and in the 5th best point guard of all time to ever play in the NBA is Isaiah Thomas, and I want you to take a look at the stark difference between the PSA 10 and PSA 9. We're going to see here the pop count on these 1986 cards are just way too high, but in a PSA 10 there's under 200 of them at 198, and it's selling for $3,700. You drop down to a PSA 9, there's over 1,200 of them, and the price just plummets down to $200. I feel like the PSA 10 is priced too high. Maybe I'm wrong, or it just shows you something about the popularity of the 1986 Fleer set. In pristine grade, mind you, in a PSA 10. Apparently, there's some PSA 10 collectors out there of this 1986 Fleer set, because you see what happened to it when it hit a PSA 9. This is the PSA 9 chart here, and you can see it was selling between $300 to $400 2 years ago, and in the past year, it's been selling between $200 to $300. It's down 53% over the past 2 years. Which makes me want to look back at the PSA 10, and we see a different story with the PSA 10. While it's a little volatile, it's been up about 7% in that same amount of time. Make of that what you will. It's all small sample sizes, and the time frame and economy and so many things factor in, but interesting nonetheless. I have Isaiah Thomas as the 5th best point guard ever to play in the NBA, and ESPN and Hoops Hype both had him at number 5 as well. There's a case our next player could be argued for number 1 or 2, but here today he's number 4 on our list, Oscar Robertson, the Big O. Like Bob Cousy we saw earlier, Robertson has more cards than him, but just not that many. His rookie card is this 1961 Fleer, and the PSA 9 is the highest grade. There are just 14 in that grade, and it's currently selling for $72,000. If we drop down to a PSA 7, there are 199 in that copy, and it's selling for $3,000. Still hard to get in your collection, but more doable than 72 grand. And a PSA 4, his card holds steady. It's going to cost you over $1,000 to get it in your collection. Here we're looking at the PSA 4 chart, and you can see it's only down 3% over the past 2 years and slightly on the rise in the past 6 months. This makes me want to go back and look at the PSA 7 chart, which is down quite a bit, 30%. What you're seeing here is maybe if you spend less money on the lower grades, you can't lose as much, but the ceiling is also probably much lower than the higher grades. Hoops Hype had Oscar Robertson as the 3rd best point guard of all time, and ESPN had him ranked number 2 overall. Again, ESPN, I think if they did this over again 8 years later, in the past 8 years, Steph Curry would probably be ahead of Oscar Robertson. The 3rd best player on our list maybe has the best court vision of all time, and that's saying something with all the players on this list. I have no idea who Hoops Hype ranked him 7th best point guard of all time. ESPN a little more in their mind. ESPN agrees with me as having John Stockton as the 3rd best point guard of all time. If we take a look back at this chart with all the best point guards that ever play in the NBA, John Stockton dominates both the steal category and the assist category. Furthermore, while LeBron James and Chris Paul try to move up the ladder to catch John Stockton is the all-time leader in both assists and steals, and it doesn't seem like anyone's breaking either of those records in the next decade, 2 decades, or in our lifetime. I do want to acknowledge that Chris Paul is damn good, and statistically he belongs on the top 10 list, but not on mine. Pick any other point guard. There's dozens of them that belong right up there with that dude.
As Mark said, when Chris Paul was over here, he said that Rondo spit on him.
All right, let's get back to number 3. John Stockton is PSA 10. There are 1,000 or just over, and it's currently selling for $313. It's a little high for my liking, but the price is perfect for an all-time legend. PSA 9 is card selling for just under 50 bucks. There's over 5,000 in a PSA 1988 rookie card. This card's really hovered over between $40 and $80 the past 2 years. It did trickle down from $100 2 years ago, so you see the growth. It's lost 50% of value, but really steady at around 60 bucks over the past, year and a half. If you've been watching basketball the last decade, you're lucky because you got to witness the 2nd best point guard to ever play in 75 years of NBA. Steph Curry's 2009 Topps PSA 10, there's just 371. It's a low pop count, and that's what keeps this card at a $4,000 price tag. Supply is low and the demand is high. In PSA 9, it's not quite as rare, but still limited with just 1,500 copies, and it's selling at $1,000 in a PSA 9 Topps. And just remember these pop counts for about 30 seconds. Here we have this PSA 9 chart. Now, 2 years ago, the Warriors won an NBA title, so it's not surprising to see this card down 47%. And maybe it's time. This is the PSA 9 again. It was selling for over $1,800 2 years ago, and today you can get it for just $1,000. And again, looking at the PSA 10 chart, his PSA 10 over the past 2 years is down 53%. It was selling for nearly $10,000 2 years ago, and today we can get this card for under $5 grand. Remember back to those pop counts of 300 and 1,000. Moving forward to current day, Luka, 20,000 in a PSA 10. Jason Tatum back in 2017 has 6,000 in a PSA 10. Ja Morant, 22,000, and Anthony Edwards currently sitting at 3,600. Hopefully that doesn't grow too high. Hoops Hype had Steph Curry ranked number 2. This list was made in 2023 December. ESPN's list was made all the way back in 2016 when Curry only had 1 NBA championship and no NBA Finals MVP. Now has 4 championship rings, and I think he's no doubt the number 2 best point guard of all time. Number 1 is no shocker, and you probably could have guessed it at the beginning of the video. Magic Earvin Johnson is the best point guard ever to play in the NBA. I just want to set the scene and paint the picture for you real quick. You have the best college player, the #1 overall pick, coming out of college, who's had a great rivalry with Larry Bird, a long college career. He comes into the NBA and not only wins an NBA championship, revives Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career, but wins Finals MVP when Kareem can't play Game 6. And Magic does this, 42 points. Imagine a rookie coming in to do that today. By the time Magic Johnson was 22 years old, he not only had 2 championship rings, but 2 Finals MVPs. This is not opinion or fact. The NBA is what it is today because of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Last thing, and then we'll get to the rookie card. The NBA is what it is today, currently in 2024, in large part because of Steph Curry and his 3-point shot. So Magic and Steph definitely deserve the #1 and #2 spot on this point guard list all time. Unfortunately, sports card producers, the makers, since I've been alive, have just been greedy and money hungry. But back in 1980, there was only one producer of basketball cards. It was Topps. Topps was making 1 set, 0 inserts, and this is the Magic Johnson rookie card. And crazy enough, you can't write this, but Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are on the same card their rookie year. It's their only card of the year. They have a couple other cards with a couple other players, but this is the rookie card. They're paired with Dr. J. It's unbelievable that this happens to be the card. It's not just Magic's rookie card, it is also Larry Bird's rookie card, and it happens to be shared with Dr. J. This card's not exactly rare, but in a PSA 10, there's just 23 of them, and it's selling for $500,000. It's a recent sale of May of 2024. If we take a look at a PSA 9, the price drops dramatically. There's just 628, still relatively rare, and it's selling for right about $20,000. Now, if I look at a PSA 7, you can see that there's 4,000 of them. It's not incredibly rare, and the price is down to $1,000. So that means anything under a PSA 7 is less than $1,000. And in a PSA 4, it's selling for $500, and there's 641 in that grade. Let's take a look at a few of the charts. Here's the PSA 4 chart. It's down 16% in the past 2 years. Selling for roughly $500 today, and it was selling for $600 2 years ago.
My pleasure to present the 1987 NBA Edge Most Valuable Player Award to Magic Johnson.
The video is already nearing 20 minutes, but I did want to glance at the numbers one more time. Steph Curry and Oscar Robertson are the only 2 point guards to average more than 20 points per game on this list. Magic is close with 19.5. Be interesting to see if Steph Curry ends up with more total points than Oscar Robertson. I think he will when it's all said and done. Meaning it's Oscar Robertson with the second most points at point guard and then a distant third points-wise when it comes to Steph Curry and Oscar Robertson total points for career. As for assists per game, Magic Johnson is the highest there with 11 assists per game, followed by John Stockton at 10.5, and then it's close between Robertson and Isaiah Thomas. Athletes clearly have longer careers now, so the totals seem to be higher for current day players versus players of the 70s and 80s. Finally, steals and blocks didn't start getting recorded until some point in the late 60s or early 70s, so players from that generation just don't have that available. One of the reasons I love sports cards is because I'm a nerd for numbers. This was a fun video to make, and I plan on making many more for each position from every sport. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't to help the channel grow, and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Have a wonderful day, great day, awesome day. Thanks for watching.
What up, everybody? This is Robert Horry, a.k.a. Big Shot Bob, and you're watching Professional Sports Cards. Hey, by the way, go buy my rookie card.